Hello and welcome to Mexico News Network's Breaking News. Thank you for joining us. I am your host, Elisa Carballo, and we have excellent information for you. Remember, Mexico News Network is your #1 source for reliable information on business and investments in the Americas, stock markets, as well as bonds, and also corporate information about Mexico. So why not browse through our website on www.mexiconewsnetwork.com, our very own digital content platform. Now let's begin. With the recent arrival of AT&T to Mexico, América Móvil, Carlos Slim's company, has run into a solid and strong competitor. However, Slim said it would not be an easy challenge for AT&T since the company plans to offer several facilities to América Móvil and Telcel users so they do not lose market share and even gain new users. One of the plans is to invest $6 billion in the existing network in Mexico to improve it, of course, as well as offering free calls and internet data in the United States. AT&T came to challenge América Móvil with its own territory when the communications firm acquired two Mexican telephone companies, meaning that now Carlos Slim's company should plan a very good sales strategy to keep its customers in Mexico. Daniel Hajj, CEO of América Móvil, said, quoted in an article in the Business Insider, that the company will eliminate roaming charges between the U.S. and Mexico for those postpaid users who choose to pay the extra fee of 50 pesos on a monthly basis, which is roughly $350. Now, the company will seek to make the same plan with the prepaid users who now represent 80% of the subscribers. Also, they pretend to extend its plans to Canada. Now, the $6 billion would be invested in Mexico over the next 3 years, and it's noteworthy that the figure doubles the $3 billion that AT&T invested in Mexico back in June. Besides, the American company has only 6 million subscribers in Mexico at the time, while América Móvil has 72 million users. In more news, Eni, the Italian company, signed a few days ago its very first oil contract in Mexico. The fields agreed with shallow waters of Amoca, Tecoalli, and Mistón for hydrocarbon extraction were granted to the company in late September. The oil company has an output of 1.6 million barrels and is considered one of the largest companies in the sector, with revenue incoming from all sorts of activities such as oil exploration and the sale of derivatives. Eni submitted a backup credit for $110,483,100 and a corporate guarantee of $2,520,000, which is the stockholders' equity. The contract signed will be valid for up to 25 years with the opportunity of being renewed for 2 periods of 5 years, so the total period can be of 35 years. Eni operates in 83 countries around the world and has a working staff of approximately 84,000 people. The oil company plans to invest $100 million in the nation for the development of its new fields, and is also worth to mention that it is the first major company of the oil industry that will operate fully in Mexico. Eni Vice President for the Americas, Federico Arisi Rota, said that in Mexico they seek to replicate the success of the company in Venezuela, Angola, and Egypt, where they have found mega deposits. Now, currently in Mexico, there are 8 new private oil companies, including 2 Mexican and 1 Italian now. In more information, Renault, the French car company, plans to introduce a new compact car model in Mexico, and with it, hopes to create an effect very similar to the one caused by the R5 or the Zapatito when it was originally introduced in Mexico in the year 1976. Ismael Vargas, director of sales of Renault Mexico, quoted in an article in Mexican daily El Universal that in the coming years the company will bring new models and plans to introduce units to increase their sales volume with this car, which will approximately cost 150,000 Mexican pesos, which is roughly $10,000. With these new additions, they seek to earn more points within the automotive markets, ever since the brand so far only has 1.8% of the entire market in Mexico. The model will be accessible to the Mexican market and is estimated to be released in the year 2017. The executive also said that the model will come to Mexico with the adequate safety and quality specifications that the brand generally features, whilst ensuring that they will not jeopardize the safety of their customers at the expense of the price. Vargas concluded by saying that this is a unit that already serves other markets. However, the time needed to introduce it in Mexico has a lot to do with the need to adapt to the market needs, reason why it has to go through several engineering tests and appropriate security, and that may take some months. In more news, a group of university students created a digital platform called Sabius, which is focused solely on helping seniors and recover the value they have, creating a link between generations through the experience of sharing knowledge. According to the app's website, any senior can participate in the project, and it seeks to impact not only the elderly but also society at a larger scale. Now, this way, seniors can transmit their knowledge to younger generations, and young people can actually learn from them at a very affordable price. The platform plans to be a very similar app to LinkedIn, but for seniors only, where they can share their knowledge. Currently, some of the topics that will be taught are dealing with photography, languages, wine tasting, sewing and embroidery, board games, history, book clubs, cooking and baking, among many more. So far, Sabius has 4 seniors who are participating in the project, offering classes on the propagation of crops, mechanics, cooking and baking. The idea of this platform is to incorporate the elderly into society, making them feel useful, and at the same time, new generations can learn from the experience and get back that link that has been lost between so many generations. Now, if you want to know more about this project, you can enter their website on www.sabiusapp.com. Now, moving along to Mexican trade gap, which actually widened sharply during the past few months. Mexican trade deficit increased to $1,444 million in October of 2015, compared to the $64 million gap a year earlier, and beating market expectations of $1,785 million gap. Exports shrank by 7.4% to $34,155 million compared to the $36,879 million in October of 2014, as both oil and non-oil sales dropped by 41.5% and by 4.1% respectively. Within non-oil exports, those to the U.S. fell by 2.7%, while those to the rest of the world declined by 10.6%. Exports of mining declined by minus 17.2%, and agricultural goods by minus 4.8%, fell the very most. Also, shipments of manufactured products went down by 3.9%, as automotive sales shrank sadly by 5.6%. Imports contracted by 3.6% to $35,599 million from the $36,943 million 1 year earlier, as purchases of oil and non-oil products declined by 22.9% and by 1.7% respectively. When considering imports by type of goods, imports of consumer and intermediate goods showed an annual reduction of 7% and 3.6% each. By contrast, import of capital goods increased by 1.1%. Now, on a seasonally adjusted monthly basis, exports advanced by 2.1%, while imports fell by 1.6%. In the first 10 months of the year, Mexican trade deficit was recorded at $11,965 million, compared to the $2,082 million gap in the same period but of the previous years, as exports fell by 3.6% and imports decreased by only 0.6%. Sadly, this was all for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, you were watching Breaking News by Mexico News Network. I'm your host, Elisa Carballo. Remember to browse through our website on www.mexiconewsnetwork.com for more reliable information on Mexico's stock markets, shares and bonds, and so forth. We'll see you next time.